Yes, sir.
Okay. Acha, you tell me what times for quiz 3 and quiz, sorry, quiz 4 and quiz 5, timing, you mention it, date already I have announced date.
Yes, sir. By the end of the class, I'll say.
Okay. Mm. So last times we have discussed Dijkstra algorithms. We are discussing least cost algorithms. Uh, Least cost algorithms based on this the least cost path. Here we have seen the cost of path is defined between the two nodes at the sum of the costs of the link traversed. Uh, for each pair of nodes, it is required to find a path with the least cost. And we have seen the two common algorithms are there to find the path with the least cost. Two algorithms are the Dijkstra algorithms and the Bellman for algorithms. In Dijkstra algorithms, we have seen here a set is here T, initial set of nodes, matrix T is here, where the nodes are included, and every other nodes will be included and T depending upon the cost of the path, right? That we have seen, and the algorithm will stop when after k iterations there can be k nodes in T, and the least cost path from S to each other nodes will be defined. So, and in this way it will proceed, it will repeat it, and algorithm will stop when and all the nodes are included in T. Keep in mind, when the algorithm will stop when all the nodes are included in T. Now, this is one. Another one is the Bellman for algorithms. Here also you can have the least cost path, but the concept is something different. Here it is based on hops, number of hops. Here, the shortest paths we have to find out. We have to find out the shortest paths from a given source node to other nodes, subject to the constant that the paths contain at most one link. Then find the shortest paths with a or at most two links, and so on. That means it is based on the number of hops. So it's very simple. The same node, same network. If you just consider it earlier, we have to have considered for this Bellman for algorithms. Digital algorithms. Same 6 node we are considering with the same cost. You can see it here. This is 1. This is 2. This is 4. This was 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The 6 nodes are there. The link cost was given. In this one, and also there is a direct link from 1 to 3. And the costs are 5. This is 2. This is 3. This is 2. This is 3. This is 1. This is 1. This is 2. This is 1. This is 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this node, same node we are considering, and also we are considering the source node. That is source node the 1. So node number 1 is the source node. I told you source node can be 3, 4, 5, or 6. What it may be any node. Source node may be any of the nodes, right? And from the source node to other nodes, you have to find out the least cost path. So in this case, the table, if you just see the columns, first will be the number of hops H. Next will be the cost of the path, least cost path, cost in the least cost path, ln, the same notation, cost of the least cost path from node S to node N, that is ln. ln, last time we have seen it. Since source node 1 we have considered, so we will consider this is 2. If say 5 is the source node, then you should consider first 1, 2, 3 like these things. 1 to 1 it will be eliminated, simply will be absent, simply 5 to 5 will be absent, that column will be absent. So ln2, and next will be the path. This is 1 to 2, next will be ln3 path, next will be ln4 path, next will be ln5 path, and next will be ln6 path. So in this case, you see initially all columns are there, right? And so when hop is 0, that means you see when hop is 0, so 1 to 1, everyone will be infinity. It will be infinity. 1 to 2 will be infinity. 1 to 3 will be infinity. 1 to 4 will be infinity. 1 to 5 will be infinity. 1 to 6 will be infinity. No hop is present. No hop is present. No hop is there. Right. Next, you consider hop 1. When you consider 1, source node 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, you see it here. It's causing 1 to 2, so it will be 2. In other one hop, only one hop you have to consider. 1 to 4 to 2 also you can consider, but 2 hops are required. So only 1 to 2, one single hop if you consider, only one path is there. 1 to 2, the cost of the path is 2. So path is 1 to 2. Right. Next is 1 to 3. 1 to 3. So 1 to 3. Since direct connection is here, that 5 you have to consider. Of course, you can consider 1 to 2 to 3, but the same cost is here. So, but it is 5. That is 1 to 3. But if you consider this may be less. Suppose if it is 2, then 2 plus 2 maybe 4, maybe 4. It will be less. But one hop is here, so you have to consider this one. Right. If one hop is it is source to destination is not covered, then it will be infinity as before. So now 1 to 4, it is one hop is will be okay, and the cost is 1. 1, it is 1 to 4. And next 1 to 5, there is no direct link. If more than one hops are required, so it will be infinity. It will infinity. Similarly, it will be infinity. Right. Next, now you can tell me if the h equal to 2 hops. If you consider 1 to 2, so what I should write here? 2 hops. Now we are considering 2 hops. So what I should consider here? What will be the cost of the path and what will be the path? One row you tell me, then other is the same as this. So 1 to 2, if you just consider what I should consider here, what will be the path, what will be the cost, and what will be the path? 2 hops I have considered. So anyone, please?
Sir, 2.
It will be 2. That is because 2 hops, though 2 hops you are considering, but it is 3, right? 1 to 2, or if you consider this 1 to 3 to 2, then also it is 8, more than 2. So whichever the previous one, you have to retain it, which is the least cost path. So that is 1 to 2. Now tell me 1 to 3. 1 to 3. What will be the cost and what will be the path?
Sir, 4.
Exactly, it is 4, and the path will be 1, 4, 3. Exactly, 1, 4, 3. Now you have followed. So you see, it is 4. It is not 5, and it is 1 to 4 to Any other, if you just consider 2 hops, that will be greater than 4, right? Now 1 to 5, I think it is quite clear. Now, sorry, 1 to 4. 1 to 4 will be same, even if you consider the 2 hops, since it is minimum, so it will be as such. Now 1 to 5, you consider 2 hops, so this path, cost of the path is 1. Here it is 1. So obviously this is the minimum cost path. So 1, 2, 4, 5. So it is 2. It is 2, 1, 4, 5. And now 6 2 hops. Can we reach 6? Yes, we can reach 6. What will be the value? Tell me. Last ones. 1 to 6. 2 hops.
4.
No, 2 hops. How 4 it comes? 2 hops. No, because if you are thinking about this one, but here 1 hop, 2 hop, 3 hop.
Yes.
But 2 hops consider. Only you have to have
10 will be there.
It will be 10. So it will be, you have to write 10. Next time, maybe 3 hops can be reduced. So you have to consider it 10. Algorithms, you have to carefully have to write the programs. Otherwise, program will terminate any times. So it will get the wrong results. Right. So 10. So initially it will be 10. So path is 2 hops, 1, 3, 6. 1, 3, 6. Right. Next, you consider 3 hops. Now the 3 hops, whatever this, it will be the minimum. Whatever the 3 hops, the 1 to 2, it is minimum. And 4, here now 3 hops, you can see it here. 3 hops, whether it will be less than 4 with the 3 hops, is it possible? 1, 2, 3. Can we check it? 1, 2, 3. Whether any other path is possible, which will be less than 4. Yes, it is possible. You can see it here. 3 hops. 1, 2, 4, 2. No, which one? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 3 hops. Right. 3 hops. So if you consider these 3 hops, this 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 4, 5, 3. So it will be 3, 1, 1, 1. So it will be 3. So it is 1, 1, 4, 5. 3. Have you followed or not? This one? Is it clear? This one?
Yes, sir.
3 hops. The 3 hops are there. So any other 3 hops path if you consider, that will be more than 3. Right. So it is the minimum one. 1, 4, 5, 3. Right. And 1 to 4, it will be same as before. 1 to 4. Now 1 to 5 with 3 hops. That also with the same thing, because it is the least cost, means 2. So whether it's 3 or 4 hops, you will not get any other path which will be less than 2. So 2 will be there. 1, 4, 5 as it is. And now 6, you 6 consider the 3 hops. Now we can consider 3 hops. So 3 hops, you can see it here. 1, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 5, 6. It will be now 4. 1 plus 1 plus 2. So it will be now 4. And the path will be 1, 4, 5, 6. Now, right. Now 3 hops you have considered. Now consider the 4 hops. With the 4 hops, it will not change anything. So 1 to 2, it will be 2 as such. Now with the 4 hops, can this 1 to 3 will change with the 4 hops? It will not be. See, this is the minimum cost path. So there will not be another path available, which will be less than 3. So it will be same as this 3, 1, 4, 5, 3. Right. That is this one. That means same as this. 1 to 4 will remain as such. 1, 2, 4. Right. You also 1 to 5. Even if you consider the 4 hops, you will not get it any path which will be less than 2. So it will be 2, 1, 4, 5. Now think about this 6 with the 4 hops. Any other path is possible which is less than 4? It's not possible. If this is more than, this is the minimum cost path 1, 1, 2. So that will be same as this 4, 1, 4, 5, 6. Now you can see it with the 3 hops and the 4 hops, the things are repeated. You see, when it is like these things, that means program, or if it is repeated, then the program will stop or will terminate at this point. So the result is these ones. This is the result from 1 to 2. It is 1 equals to 1 to 3. It is 1 4 5 3. So any network will be given to you. You have to find out the least cost path for one source node to another source node. Same problem I might ask. Say consider s equal to 6 and find the least cost path. Then what you have to do? You have to consider the same way. Here instead of ln2, you should start with ln1, next 2, next 3, next 4, next 5. Right? With the if I ask to find out the least cost path with 6. Next, you have to consider the neighboring nodes first. 6 to 1, you have to consider it will be infinity. No direct link is there like this. I think in the same way you can find out. So this is the Bellman fault algorithms. And now, if you compare it with these Bellman fault algorithms with the Dijkstra algorithms, you can see for intermediate any iterations, it's an intermediate case, intermediate iteration 3 in Bellman 4 and iteration 3 in case of Dijkstra algorithms. You can see in the previous case, we should know the link cost of all links in the network in betweens. But in this case, that is required for Dijkstra algorithms. But in this case, only neighboring information of the neighboring nodes are sufficient. And if we update it to update its cost and paths, right, that will be sufficient. Bellman algorithm is based only on the information from its neighbors and knowledge of its link cost to update its cost and paths. But in other case, in Dijkstra algorithms, in between any iteration, if you just consider that requires each node must know the link costs of all links in the network. So that is the difference between these two, right? Rather, you can say Bellman for you can have age relaxations in this case. Okay, I think any problems are there. You can see any questions regarding this Bellman fault algorithms or Dijkstra algorithms? You can ask. Any questions? इसे कोई doubt है तो पूछो.
No, sir. It's clear, sir.
Okay. Okay, so next you see another aspect of packet switching. So the least cost path, we have seen it earlier. We have seen this, the packet size. We have seen this, the comparison also. Now see in the switch network congestions. Packet switching congestion is important factors while designing the switch networks, packet switch networks. Congestion. So congestion means, what is the meaning? It is an important issue, rather I can say, in packet switch network. When this congestion occurs, if the load of the network exceeds the capacity of the network, when the load of the network exceeds the capacity of the network. What is the meaning of these things? Load of the network means number of packets sent to the network. Right? Number of packets sent to the network, and capacity of the network means number of packets it can handle. That means when the number of packets sent to the network is greater than the number of packets a particular network can handle, that time congestion develops. Congestion in node develops. And so somehow you have to control the congestion. Otherwise, packets will be discarded. Packets, retransmission will be there. Excessive load will be there. Many things will happen if you learn it. Right? Even the successfully delivered packets will be retransmitted. So many aspects will be many things will be created if congestion develops. Calls will be blocked, that we have seen it earlier, right? So we need some sort of congestion controls. Congestion. So we need some techniques for congestion control. We'll see there are two techniques. There are two types of techniques are there. One is open loop congestion control, and another is closed loop congestion control. That we'll see it. Before that, see what will be the effect of congestions in a network, in ideal situations or in the practical situations. In fact, if you see the congestion control, it indicates actually control, indicates the mechanism. Congestion control means it indicates the mechanism and techniques that control the congestions, and in fact that will keep the load below capacity, so that network can handle the packets efficiently, right? Otherwise, nodes include, I'll just show you, nodes include buffers. Buffer will be saturated and delay will be more, like these things, many things will be there. So let us see the effects of congestions in a switch networks in the ideal conditions and in the practical conditions. Consider a network having the nodes and the packets are coming from different subscribers, and packets are delivered to some other nodes. Here. Let us say input output queues at node. See, so in a node there will be different ports will be there. Each port there will be two buffers will be there. One will be input buffer, and there will be the output buffer. Several ports, you just see it. One will be input buffer and will be output buffers. Okay. Say particular case, if you consider this is one will be the input buffer. For each case, the one input buffer will be there, other one will be the output buffer. Input buffer, output buffer. Two packets can be delivered to other nodes, or packet can be coming from other nodes. So to other nodes. Similarly, from this port also, packet can be going outwards, or it can come from other node. And also the same things, either to other node. Here also, so it can be node or it can be from subscriber from stations, from users. So from to the subscriber. also it can be from any home or to subscriber. So thing is this, two buffers are there. When the packets arrive through any port, they are stored in input buffer, right, of the corresponding port, and the node, some processing delay would be required, right. When the node examines each packet and will take the routing decisions, then moves the packet to the appropriate outer buffers. So that packet can be transferred to other output buffers of other ports, like these things. Right. So appropriate output buffers, because it means that incoming packet can be transferred to not to any other nodes apart from this. So after examining these ones, examine the incoming packet, routing decisions decisions are required to transmit the packet or to deliver the packet to any other output buffer, right. That can be through statistical timeless multiplexings. So, but the thing is this: if the packets now, so there is a scenario, but if the packets are coming too fast for the node to process them, I mean, before taking the decisions, if the packets are coming are faster than the packets that can be cleared from the outgoing buffers, then the packets will arrive for which there will be no memory, right? There will be no memory will be available. So when such condition is reached, I mean, if the incoming packets reach faster than the packets can be handled, then you see a saturation point will reach. I mean, buffers will not available, packet will be discarded. So what are the strategies can be adopted for this in such cases? What are the strategies can be adopted for this for such case? It can discard the packets. It can discard the packets or to exercise some sort of flow control that we have seen it, some sort of flow controls over its neighbors, so that traffic flow remains manageable. So the two strategies can be adopted in such cases, or you can say to control the congestions, right. Now consider the ideal situations. Ideal situation, you see, ideal performance. In ideal performance, if you just see it, if the load increases, throughput will increase. This is the maximum capacity. This is 1, and this is a normalized throughput. Normalized throughput. Throughput means number of packets that can be delivered to destinations. Destinations, right? That is the throughput. So this is a normalized throughput. This is 0.5, and this is 1. And this is, say you are increasing the load. Load, so let us say it is normalized load. Normalized load, and some not to scale. Normalized load means unitless values. Some values we are considering here. So here you see it. Say this is 0.5. This is 1. This is 1. You are increasing the load 1.5, and this is 2. In this way, you are increasing the load. So initially, as the load increases, the throughput will increase. Number of packets delivering delivered packets that will increase, the distance will increase. Of course, some delay would be there, and ultimately, as you increase the load, it will reach to the maximum value capacity. Next, it will be constant, like these things, right? And if you see, even if you increase maximum capacity, maximum throughput will be maximum. You see, there is a maximum capacity. But if you increase after reaching this one, even if you increase the load, then delay will be increasing. Delay will be increasing. Even if you increase after this also, if you increase the load, so what will happen? You see, delay will increase excessively. More load means the delay. Some here you can see some delay will be there initially. Initially some delay will be here. Say this is 0.5. This is 1.0. 1.0. This is 1.5. This is 2. Like these things. This is the normalized load, same as before. So delay. This is a delay. Right. So initially some small delay will be there, but as you increase the load, you see delay will be increasing excessively, right? Without bound, I mean the delay will increase if you increase the load beyond the capacity, right? So this situation is the ideal conditions. In the here, it assumes that the buffer capacity is quite large. I mean, infinite buffers are there. You see, this scenario corresponds to the case when we assume the infinite buffers, right? But in practice, buffers are finite. That means that will lead to the buffer overflow in practical scenario. So some sort of congestion control would be there, right, to overcome the situations. So you see what happens if you consider the practical situations, the practical performance. When we're considering the finite buffers. So here also initially you see the scenario will be completely different. Of course, initially throughput will increase as you increase the load. This is normalized throughput, and this is the load, normalized load, right? So somewhere here you can see it here. You'll get, it will reach initially throughput will increase. Somewhere here you're getting these ones, reach A. After that you can see it here. When this is the case when no congestion is here, right? But as you increase the load, the congestion will develop. That times this throughput rate will be decreasing. It will not be the same rate. So delay will be there, right? So it will reach some point B when moderate congestion is here, moderate congestions, and even beyond that, further if you increase the load, the severe congestions will be there. So in that case, you see throughput will be decreasing, and ultimately it will be 0. Right? It is the case of severe congestion. So initially, you see throughput increases and reached some point A. Beyond that, the throughput increases. Then after that, the throughput increases, but it is slower than the previous case, previous regions. Um, uh, right. When you increase the load, right. Why it is so? There are several reasons are there. Right. Some nodes you see in a network, some nodes may experience moderate congestion, some nodes may have more congestions is there, so it may discard some packets like these things. Um, right. If load increases, the network may attempt to balance the load by transmitting the packets through areas of lower congestions. That's why this rate is different from this rate. Now, still, if you increase the load, then the queue you have seen these packet switching nodes are stored in a queue, stored in a node, and they will be in queue, right? So the queue length will increase. So one point will reach, that is B, right, beyond which the throughput actually drops with increase the upper load. That is the case. This is the case because we are not considering why it is decreasing now, but in the ideal performance it is not decreasing because in this case the buffers in practical scenario we are considering the finite buffers. The buffers will fill, right, and the node must. So when the buffers are filled, the node must discard packets. So the source, if these packets are discarded, that means source must retransmit those discarded packets in addition to the new packets. Load increasing means new packets plus the discarded packets to be retransmitted. So the more and more packets are retransmitted, the load grows and more buffers become saturated, right? And this system will try desperately to clear the backlog. So in this case, even successfully delivered, just mentioned earlier, successfully delivered packets may be retransmitted, right? And because it takes too long for a higher layer to acknowledge them. So sender, in that scenario, sender assumes that packet did not get through and it has to retransmit. So under these conditions, the effective capacity of the systems will be down to 0. So that is the scenario for the severe conditions. So these things is there, these things for the practical performance. You can see the capacity going downwards, ultimately it will be 0. Throughput will be 0. So this is the practical situations. Now, anyway, so let us see how these conditions can be controlled. There are two methods, two types of methods are there. Condition control, or you can say condition control techniques, um, controls techniques uh, can be classified into two broad categories. One is open loop, another is the closed loop. Open loop and closed loop. On the open loop category, there are different policies are there for congestion controls. In fact, open loop means here the policies are or the techniques are applied to prevent the congestions before it happens. Before it happens, policies are applied, and under closed loop congestion control techniques, the policies are applied after it happens. Right. After mm, after the congestion occurs. One case before the congestion and the after the congestion develops. Right. So we'll see one by one. So under open loop category, the different policies are there. One is retransmission policy. Another one is window policy. Window policy. Third one is a discarding policy. Fourth one, retracement policy, window policy, discarding policy, acknowledgement policy. Acknowledgement policy. And the other one is the admission policy. Admission policy. Right. And under closed loop categories, different mechanisms are for congestion control. One is back pressure. Back pressure. Number two is a choke packet. Number three, the implicit signaling. These are advanced techniques. Implicit signaling. And the other one is the explicit signaling. So you see one by one. In retransmission policy, you see in this case, when this policy is taken, when the sender feels that the sent packet is lost or corrupted, when the sender feels that the situation, and that times packets need to be retransmitted. It only guesses, the sender guesses that the sent packet is lost or corrupted, and it has to be retransmitted. So it may increase congestions, but good retransmission policy can prevent the congestions. That is the retransmission policy. Right. Now, in case of window policy, that we have seen it. Window policy is here. Go back in ARQ, go back in window and selective repeat window. So in that case, we have seen this selective repeat window is better than the go back in window for congestion controls. So that policy can be considered also. Selective repeat window can be considered for congestion controls instead of go back in window. And discarding policy, you see, in this case, a good discarding policy can be taken by the routers. This is taken by the router to prevent congestions. Discarding policy. Acknowledgement policy, here see, if the receiver does not just stop and flow control, just like stop and flow controls, if the receiver does not acknowledge every packet it receives, it may slow down the that may slow down the sender and help prevent congestions. That is the acknowledgement policy. If the receiver does not acknowledge every packet that it receives, so that will elevate the congestions. Admission policy, it is used generally for virtual circuit networks. Virtual circuit networks. This one, admission policy, it can prevent also the congestions. In this case, switches first check in a data flow. Switches first check the resource requirement, right, before admitting to the network. Switches first check the resource requirement in a flow, right. Say a particular router can deny the establishment of a virtual circuit connections if there is congestion in the network. So that is the admission policy. A particular router can deny the virtual circuit connections for establishment if there is congestion in the network. So these are the different policies for the congestion controls under open loop category. And in the closed loop category, next time we'll see, just give me the hints here. Here, the mechanisms will try to alleviate the congestions after it happens, after the congestion occurs, right? There are several mechanisms are there. One is, this back pressure. In this case, so several nodes are there. It's a congested node. What will happen? It will congested node. Suppose a particular node is congested. A series of nodes are there. Then it's a congested node. What will happen? It informs the previous node to slow down. Then that node also that whenever that node will receive these signals, it may be congested because it is slowing down. So then it will inform to the previous node. In this way, and ultimately information will go to the source node to slow down. So in this way, it can eliminate the congestions. Right, but this is back pressure mechanisms. It has the limitations. It will work on a particular network, say like X25 based packet switching network. But for datagrams, it will not work because datagram network, you have seen it. There is no particular upstream directions, right? This will occur if there is a particular upstream route. Upstream route is here. But in datagrams, there is no, say the data packets, they can reach to the destination to different routes. So there is no particular upstream directions. So whenever there is a specific upstream directions are there, that times this will work. So it will work for a particular case. That is the back pressures. Next, other things we'll see next times. So these conditions there also closed loop condition control techniques we'll see. The most important are these implicit signalings and explicit signalings that we'll see next times. So any questions regarding these things? Any questions regarding conditions you can ask. Any questions regarding conditions? Any questions? Quick. Any questions? Say yes or no.
No, sir. No, sir.
Then tell me the timing for timing for the quiz 4 and quiz 5.
On 3rd November, 6 o'clock, sir.
Okay, 3rd November, FDC, 3rd November, it is 6 o'clock. Okay.
Sir, 12th November, morning 11 a.m.
12th November, it is morning 11 a.m. No?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then let's see it. Well, I'll just convey these things to other branches.